So when I began the idea of technology and communication, this is a little bit of the storyline that I gave you. If you remember, I started talking about the revolutions and stuff like that. Okay, and then we went on to looking at how technology and communication work together. So this was a story, the plot line that we began with. Okay. Um, okay. Yeah. So this is what we spoke. Okay. Very important thing. What do we, if you remember, I asked you what do we mean by the term agency? Agency basically means people who've got authority, power, and people who can affect change. Okay. So I'm not sure if I told you this, but if you look at, I gave you the story example of Cinderella, right? So if you look at who has agency over there, now we can very easily assume that Cinderella is the one who's got agency because she ultimately gets to go for the ball. But if you see, she does not, she's got perceived agency. The only reason she gets to go to the ball is because of the fairy godmother. Okay. But the fairy godmother is an imaginary concept. It's not even, it's a fictional concept, right? It's not something that's real. And because it is not real, therefore you have fictionary or perceptive power or agency. Okay. Because it's not set. Okay. So as soon as you take the fairy godmother out of the equation, which is exactly what happens at 12 o'clock, okay, all the agency that you thought you had just goes away with the person who's responsible for giving it to you. Okay, so just think of agency in terms of also, how we kind of look at sometimes ourselves, okay, where you kind of look at external validation sometimes, okay, and suddenly when the source of external validation goes out, you have to kind of figure out what things work for you, okay. So therefore, if you give other people the agency to work over you, you will not be able to figure out things for yourselves. So therefore, it's very, very important to look at how agency works. Okay, so especially in the story Cinderella, the only person who's got agency is actually the prince. Okay, because he then eventually sends a search party out, has people checking, and then finally he finds his one true love and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, that is what we're calling about. That's what we're talking about agency. Now, why is agency important, especially in the business arena? Is because um, each level in the organization has agency and always assumes that the other person has got more agency than them. Okay, when actually it kind of 90% of the time works in a common manner. Okay. So do you see how, especially as a fresher, if you join a company, you will automatically assume, oh my God, look at the people who are higher up than me. They are the ones that are really, really good. And what do you say? They've got so much more input that they can give. Okay. While maybe the other people might not take me seriously because I'm just joining. Okay, so in those terms, each and every level will have their own perceptions of agency. It's how we deal with them. Okay, yeah. So who ultimately has the upper hand just depends on you. Okay, yeah. Vocabulary that is associated in terms of communication via the internet, right? Because that's our topic, and we're looking at technology and we're looking at how these concepts would work, especially in today's day and age. Okay, so these are just really quickly few things. If there's any term that you're not familiar with, just let me know. But 90% of these are easy. All of them. Okay. Um, mhm. Okay. This is what we spoke of in the beginning in terms of how we're looking at communication via the internet. And we said that you've got access to Google and you've got so many things at your disposal. Yet, how you deal with things in at that particular time of at that particular point of time is very, very important. Okay. So, yeah, the advantages are obviously very matter of fact. Uh, okay, it does save time and money. You're able to get replies really quickly. Okay. Um, how we get access to the internet. Okay. So, telephone line originally, now Wi-Fi is talking about, like, if you remember when you had NTNL and Hathway and stuff like that. So through the telephone line, you're kind of looking at. Okay. Disadvantages. This is also what we spoke about. So just very quickly, what we kind of look at this. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Okay. Emails. Um, when you're writing, let's say if college does reopen, how would you frame a 15-mark answer? This is why I framed this way. You would begin with a very basic introduction, and if it talks about advantages and disadvantages, you would take each of the advantages and write at least three sentences on them, and then end with a conclusion. Okay, so this would roughly range to around 3 pages, so to kind of make up the amount of um, uh, pages that you're using. Okay, it's very, very basic content, but let me tell you, when you start writing the answer, it's very different. Okay, because then you have to, what is more common is more easy to forget. Okay, so therefore, please kind of keep track of all these things. Okay, start practicing answers. Okay, please do that. Start practicing answers. Okay, framing of emails, this is what we just spoke about. Okay, ensuring that how you're going to put the emails across, because the more in terms of, we talk about the formality within emails, right? Because we say that there are emails compared to sending information through WhatsApp and stuff like that, brings in this whole new level of formality. Okay, and especially, let's say if you got your email is linked to your organization, then when you send an email, 90% of the time, the people who are in charge of it can see all the emails. Okay, so they kind of know what is happening. So you have to be a little more careful. Okay, yeah, very simple. Subject line salutation would generally mean your dear sir, dear ma'am. Okay, what I want you to do for homework, okay, is draft an email, okay, and the email should be to a potential client, okay, who wants to pick up any three, what do you say, books from you, okay. So let's say you are the person from the bookstore, okay, and these people have asked you for reference books, okay, and I want you to write an email in response, okay, to them, telling them that these books are available or not available, and see how that works, okay. Yeah, and also what I want you to do is see how easy or difficult it is. Okay, that would kind of give you a little more practice and help you later on also, because we've got a little bit of letter writing to do. So this is like a small insight into that arena. Okay, basic segments of emails. I think, yeah.